Hello. Could you tell me your thoughts on e-democracy and open government in Mancha?
E-democracy or e-government? And to start with e-democracy, sure, I'm a little bit of an old-fashioned political scientist. Some things should be E, and we should also be a little careful about the E. I will tell a very short story. In Israel, Noella, we have a lot of immigrants, and some of the immigrants are Jews who came from Ethiopia, and they're for black skin. And for many years they said that they are not getting the services they deserve to get. Apparently what really happened is it was something we call the leaking pipeline. A lot of funds were passed to help them, but the funds went to different people and didn't get to. And so for many years people did all kind of e-things. Let's call it the e-things. And then in the last months, they went out in the streets and they blocked the cars and we did something very not E, something very physical. And I suspect that now things will change. So there is some symbolic and sometimes even beyond symbolic value of people in democracy actually physically getting involved and doing. With all that said, yeah, there's a lot of place for democracy. E-government is a different story. E-government are very much in favor. I think we're, I probably know that by now, I think we're a long way from exhausting the potential of e-government. So, and one interesting thought we may like is sometimes we get what we measure. We get what we measure.
Yeah.
So if you remember, an aspect of e-government that I talked about at the conference was open data. When President Obama said in 2009 to his lieutenants, I will measure you on the number of data sets you release. These people are very sophisticated at the agencies. So they start chop. They took live data and chop. There were hundreds of thousands going online. But they murdered, like I said, they murdered the data. Yeah. You could not link it, and then 2 years later you said, oh, we linked it, open data. So the message to take from that is that you set up some benchmark and some measurements, and what you decide and how you decide to measure is what you want to get, including sometimes the best.
What does open mean to you?
For me, in the context of my research and open data, open means above everything else, the willingness of the public sector agencies to release raw data. Unlike President Obama, I do not insist that data will be machine operable. I think that he also missed the boat in this one in 2009 because, yeah, I understand why he wanted some of this data to be machine processable, like yes. But you know, today we can do things that we couldn't do 5 years ago. So I don't think that what defines open is necessarily the data format. What really defines open is the willingness of the public sector officials to release a lot of data. And I said something else, which in the conference, which I hope people listen to. Sometimes we set the bar too high for the public officials. We say to them, you know, if it's not of the highest possible data quality, and if it's not machine operable, and if it's not totally free, then it's not open data and don't release and will work. And I said, no, release. And there are certain things like the software that I introduced for the first time in this company, Beautiful City in 2015, there are things we can do to help them. Because software, I'm a big data guy, so the kind of tools, right, the knowledge will bring. I cannot do anything if I don't have access to the first place to some raw data. So release that, for me, open above everything else is the willingness to release raw data. It's not the end, just the beginning of the game. But if I don't get that, I'm not getting very far.
Could you name a good practice in either democracy or open government?
Yeah, I talked about it also. It's also, it was a very important practice that I talked about also in my book, Introverse and Digital Battle. I actually think it's controversial what I'm about to say. Even in this Beautiful City in 2015, I had fights about it. Not literally fights, but the good fights, not the fights that end up with people killing each other in the Middle East at the end, but parting ways friendly. The biggest idea. I think, well, this is an interesting idea. I think that actually we need to nudge public officials to release data. Now, if you continue to say, oh, you should be really releasing data for the benefit of humanity, and it's the right thing to do, and don't you understand that the taxpayer money is all this money for things, and you need it. got a bit busier doing something else. So I think a very good practice, and in my book I give examples from Iceland, Australia, is actually to find tiny incentives to nudge them in the right direction. And what I prove in my book is that actually the smallest incentives can go a very long way towards helping them do the right thing. Now, is it ideal? No, but I don't live in an ideal world. We're not from the Middle East. It's definitely not an ideal world. So I look around and I say, what can I do here and now to push them a little bit in the right direction? So that's a good practice, finding the right incentives framework to kind of help them do the right thing.
And what would be a bad practice then? What do you think is a bad practice if in democracy or open government?
In open government, or especially nicely in open data, a bad practice would be setting the bar too high and saying to them, we should really be some highest possible quality data, and it should be free and license free, and it should be large volumes, and basically what will happen, I showed in some articles, what happens is they release 2 data sets. And so we vouch for this, and they sit with the rest, they sit on thousands of them in the And so be careful, because what you ask is what you will get.
Okay.
Don't do that. Kind of lower the bar. It says, please. We'll take you to interesting places in there.
Yeah. And what will we be discussing at CEDAW 25 in 2025?
That was a very interesting question for the CEDAW 2025. It's tough. I can't see the next year. For next year, I'm trying to think what might be in 2025. Look, I'll tell you one interesting thing. I am here long before it was called, long before, for the last 20 years. I've worked as an enterprise data warehouse modeler in some of the largest companies in the world, Fortune 50, the private sector mostly, Fidelity Investment, PepsiCo, IBM Healthcare, VeriSign, so Google type. My specialty is actually modeling those databases when you go trillions of transactions. And I don't like the words big data, but I think there's the phenomenon it tries to describe. There is something very, very interesting. And the interesting thing is that basically when you take data that was created inside an environment, this ministry and this company and another one, and it was never really intended to be woven together, and you put it together in user tools, you get sometimes fascinating insights. Now, it comes with a lot of problems. It comes with privacy problems and big problems because just to understand how much problem. If there's a database, and you know the database, millions of people, and the database metadata has 1,500 elements, so your age would be one data element, and your height would be something. 1,500 data elements, about 300 million people, and one of them is Noella. I need 10 to know that it's Noella. Do you know that? 10. Yeah. I need 10. Yeah. You give me 10 and I'll tell you this is Noella. I can show you the math. So basically, I don't know I think that this problem is not going to be solved in the short term. I think also in 2025, we're still going to be talking a lot about these trade-offs between the benefits that we can get when we put data that is not intended to be created together and the cost. Privacy. And I don't think, I don't think it's not a technology problem. Because it's a people and a social problem, social policy problem, it will still be with us in 2025. And then the second topic that you might find very interesting, really interesting to talk about in this conference, you know the expression information wants to be free? Everybody knows it. Yeah. You know who said it first time?
No.
Okay, it's the author of the information age named Stuart Brand. And Steve Jobs, in his commencement speech in Stanford, the famous one in 2006, he mentioned Stuart Brand. So Stuart Brand in 1985, everybody remembers that he said information wants to be free. But they forget the second half of the sentence. That's not what he said. He said that the entire core of the information revolution could be defined between two extremes. One side, he said information wants to be free, and everybody remembers that part conveniently. He said the other side, information wants to be expensive.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to
That's what
everybody forgets conveniently.
Yeah.
And so he said even in 2025, this what Stuart Brand defined in 1985, tension, information wants to be free, information wants to be accurate. It will still be with us. It's in the oil age, I say Christine, in the oil age, oil is not free. Okay? In the diamond age, diamond is not free. In the information age, information is not free. But the question is, how do you square the circle? What is free? What is, how expensive? That's also a social problem, so it will be with us in 2025.
Okay. So we'll still be discussing that. Thank you very much, Alon.